Facing what consumes you is the only way to be free. And I think it gets harder over time because the story of our lives becomes more and more real the older that we get. The more things we go through, the more things that we lose, we feel the urge to cling harder, to find some sort of unchanging ground to cling to for dear life, so that way we can feel like we're not dying. And I think that some of the trauma that we've been through, like I lost my mom, I was abused as a kid. Earlier this year, I not only lost someone that I thought was one of my closest friends, but turned out to be a complete narcissist that was just stringing me along by a thread. And the funny thing is that like it's a tale as old as time, all these different types of trauma. But we can't define ourselves by our trauma. It's important to address our trauma. It's important to recognize it and to not forget it. But I think that the trap is that, oh, I can't forget this pain, or I will find myself exactly back in it. If we just stay in that space, there is no growth. It's just another form of wanting to cling to something that's not changing, because the traumatic event or the sudden change is so unstoppable that even the suffering, the consistency of the suffering is something that we want to cling to as a form of unchanging. But trying to cling to anything, and this is going to be a little existential, but trying to cling to anything is a farce. There's nothing to cling to. I could choose to cling to inanimate objects. Can't take them with me, I'm still going to die. I can cling to my pet. I love my pet cat, but one day she's going to pass away, or I'm going to pass away. That's not going to last forever. I could cling to the space that I'm living in, but the space that I've been living in has changed multiple times throughout my life. If I decided to cling to any one of those, like, what, is my life going to be over afterwards? The same thing with relationships. The same thing with jobs, certain jobs that we had that we worked there for years, and we got so familiar with the people that we worked with, and there was elements that we really liked about that. And like I've had certain coffee shops I worked at that still reoccur in my dreams as places I'm at, because it was such a prominent part of my life. But the thing is that we need to learn how to gracefully let go of those things. But what I really want to talk about in this video is facing our fear. And that's the whole point to meditating. The whole point to meditating is to cultivate a level of awareness that allows us to face our fears, sit with our pain, and alchemize it into something new. I like to write poetry. I like to write songs. I like to work out. I like to do yoga. I take the pain that I've been through, whether it's pain of loss, abuse, what have you, change in general, and I use that pain as a motivator, as a very powerful motivator to rise to meet each and every occasion, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, emotional. And I'm not perfect. The last few weeks, I've been in a depressive slump. I've still been like making short form content, but sitting down to make something long form like this, I put off for almost 2 weeks because my spirit felt so heavy, and my motivation to do anything, that required serious effort You know, not that this is extremely a difficult thing to do, but it does require a little bit more effort to sit down and talk about something rather than just like a quick quote or a quick post from like a hike or something. We're carrying around a lot of weight with us. We have a lot of baggage. It's one thing to address that we've been through a lot. It's another thing to do something with that. I think that maybe in a moment we can drop all the weight of our baggage, but our bodies keep a score. Our trauma is a forever cloak that we wear. But what are we going to do with it? Are we going to paint ourselves as the victim forever? Are we going to paint ourselves as a relentless warrior that chooses to fight against the currents? Or, even more radical, are we going to meet our trauma and our pain and our suffering internally with compassion? Here's one way I do it, is through active imagination. The very last video that I put out before I took a couple of weeks off was about active imagination and decoding dreams. And the thing about active imagination is that it allows you to speak to the subconscious mind, especially once you're in a meditative state and you're like very calm and very like in a very rested state. And when you're deep into meditation, you kind of almost speak to yourself in a way. That's sort of what active imagination is, where you're allowing your mind's eye to picture whatever you want. You're allowing the voice of your mind to answer however you're like whatever you're saying, because I like to speak out loud to the subconscious. So whatever I'm consciously saying, whatever subconsciously comes to mind without me thinking about it, that's the answer. And so you can have an active dialogue with the subconscious. You can have an active dialogue with the subconscious by simply writing down your dreams and then reading them back and being like, huh. Because like only you can truly understand the symbolism behind your dreams, because there are a lot of people that are very proficient at decoding very basic and, you know, abstract symbolism. But there's a lot of symbolism that's based in stuff that only we would understand from our own experience. So I think the most important thing for growth is to face what we're going through. Don't put it off. Yeah, we need a break every now and then. Yeah, we need to, there's nothing wrong with vices in moderation. I get that. But how long are you going to stay there? How long are you going to stay in the mode of like, I'm just going to pack a bowl right now, or I'm just going to go out and have a drink with friends right now? Like, once in a while is fine. Maybe on the weekends is fine. Are you really going to do this every single day? When are you actually going to give yourself the gift of sitting with yourself and allowing yourself to feel what you've been putting off? And if what you're feeling is so overwhelming, doesn't that mean that that's where your attention really should be? Yeah, it's draining. Yeah, it sucks. But how are you supposed to get through it without being in it? There's no long way around. There's no shortcut. You need to go through it. Because look at everything that you've been through already. Everything that you've been through. There wasn't a way around that. You had to go through it to get out to the other side, whatever the trauma is. And I'm not justifying the trauma. I'm justifying the fact that there was no other way. Because if there was, then that's what would have happened. What's meant to happen will always happen. And it always is happening. Now what are you going to do with that? Everything that's happened in your life has happened the way that it did. Now what are you going to do? Are you going to continue to wallow? Are you going to continue to put it off? Sit with what you feel. Allow yourself to feel it. Face it. And then use it. Use it in some sort of way to rise above all of the weight that's coming down on you. In a way, I'm also talking to myself because I've been feeling really stuck and really weighed down. But when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change, we will change. And with that said, I'm glad that you tuned in today, and I hope you have a great day.